Okay, we're ready to start drawing our glazing at the first floor level. Um, a couple of things I want to touch on. The idea of working very accurately. If you are having things that aren't lining up, for instance, these windows, if these gaps don't look straight, you know that window is crooked, delete it, redraw it. It's important that you be very accurate. Our drawings need to have a high tolerance. They need to be extremely carefully drawn. And it's just a matter of getting in the habit of it. And that habit of it, while it seems tedious at the beginning, will actually make things go quicker. Accuracy actually speeds up the process. So let's get started with building some more storefront wall. I have that selected. Now I want to caution you, one of the things I did is the last thing I did was create this top spandrel piece, and I made -2 here, and it's staying as a permanent setting. And so I want to make sure that we adjust this back to 0. Otherwise, you're going to draw windows that are too low. And so once again, curtain storefront, we're going to now go from level 1 up to top of glazing, and this should say L1, and make sure we have no offset, and we're ready to start drawing. And we know we're ready to start drawing because we'll get those indicators if we're correct. And now we're pretty good at doing this, so we can come in and touch that front edge at the center. And there's our glazing drawn, and we can verify that it's facing in the right direction. Sorry, the screen doesn't redraw all the time quickly, but we can see that the glazing pocket is sitting towards the front of the window system, which is the correct way for the exterior. So that's our first piece of wall constructed. Now we have to go in and work around in this area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate the drawing around until I think I'm going to get a good visualization of all the places that I'm going to need to be drawing in here. And nothing's going to be perfect, but that's a good start. And I'll grab the tool again, and I'll start drawing out here. You'll notice how it's showing me that I'm lined up with the wall 90 degrees. That 16'6" is a good indication because it's not, it's about, remember we have a 2-foot offset, and we have a 6-inch thick wall, and we're getting that blue line showing at the very face down below it. So I'm pretty sure that I'm actually the right point for that. And I can actually just stay there and come back over here. But actually what I'll do is I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to undo that because I don't want to overly complicate our starter drawing. So I'm going to grab this one and draw here. And I'm not going to try and bring it right to the edge. Now I'm going to hold down my shift button and get a visualization of the top of this. And I'm just going to draw a little piece of glass here. And now my one piece of glazing isn't facing in the right direction. I can see this one here. So I'm just going to make sure I space that and get that correct. Otherwise, all the other ones are fine. And now I'm going to use the join tool to bring all of these pieces of glass together for me. And there I'm all set. So let's move over to this area now. Grab the wall tool. I'm going to just go through here, and this is really hard to see, but you can just imagine where that edge is. If I drag this down on the screen, you can see how that's right at that front face. It's facing in the right direction. I can see by the dark going to the exterior. I'll come down here and draw that. I won't come all the way to that edge. I'll do the same thing here. And then I'll use that join tool again to put, to put these two together. I'm having a hard time finding the window. There we go. And there we go. And then the last piece that we need to do for the first floor glazing is this wall here. And it's facing in the wrong direction, so I'm going to hit the space bar. Well, it's going to ask me to save the project, so I'm going to cancel out of that because I want to save it with a different name, but you should be saving it. I'm going to make sure I select the whole thing and hit the space bar, and then use the join tool to connect these two. And I want you to note that this corner isn't a full corner. It's like it doesn't quite look correct. And that's because what we would actually do is remove one of these mullions and put a square element in here. We're not going to do that in this section of computer viz. It's a relatively advanced piece of subject matter for this course. So let's go ahead now and start putting our spandrel between that. And so once again, we'll go back to architecture, wall. If you look down towards the bottom, you're going to find the spandrel available. It's in the most used items, so it's trying to be a little helpful for you. And now we're going to go from the top of glazing L1 up to the mezzanine level. And if everything's good, that should highlight. If you're not getting that highlight, you may not have done that, corrected that top offset, so the windows might be too short, and those need to be corrected. And I'm not going to try and line that up perfect. I'm just going to bring these together. Just going to draw little pieces of wall here. Actually, this one, it looks like, should come all the way out to the front of this wall. So actually, let me do this. I'm going to join these two right away. That'll trim off that one. And then I'm going to grab this one, and I'm going to zoom in here because I need it to touch that brick wall on the face. I'm going to grab the Modify tool in this wall. I'm going to grab our little blue dot here. I'm going to drag this out until it shows me that I'm both lined up. Remember, I got that 90 degree. There's no angle showing. And I'm touching the face of that wall and let up on it. And now that spandrel is touching that front edge there. Now we've got to draw this one over here. So once again, let's get back to our tool. And I'm just going to set that on the center of that because we know that's our alignment. And use the join tool to work in places where I can't even see. I'll just rotate down so you can see what's going on. I'm going to pull this one up. I got the join tool. I'm going to go to Modify and grab the wall and pull this and drag it until I'm touching that front face of our wall. All right, we need a piece of spandrel here. So that's at the right level. It's telling us we're at the right level, and we want to be touching the center of that wall. So this is like a place floating out in space. Remember, if I was going all the way down, this would be where the imaginary top of that glass would be at L1. That might be difficult for you to do. If it is, I can show you other techniques of the way to do that. One way would be to draw this one over here right away, and then copy and move it over. Once again, we'll grab the wall tool, grab here, pull this one over until it touches that front face. If I'm getting a warning that I'm overlapping walls, pull this wall back until it's no longer overlapping. All right. Now, this is, I mean, I may be going fast. This may feel very complicated to you, so you may need to review this a few times in order to be able to do this, and that's perfectly ordinary or perfectly common for you to have to do that. So, but I'm trying to go through fast enough that it stays interesting and you get the general idea. I'm going to draw another piece on top of this one, and I'm going to draw one here. And then once again, we're going to select this and then use the join tool. And we got one last piece of mullion to construct. And it looks like we've got it all. Now these two pieces of steel, because this is the entry, I'm going to delete these out. We're not going to use those. That's where the entry to the building is. That'll make things look a little bit cleaner. All right, now we walked all the way through to the other side of the building. Now let's go back with storefront on the next level. So I'm going to grab the wall tool again, most recent, grab the storefront. And now we're going to go from the mezzanine level up to the top of glazing L2. I'll grab, pull this down. We've already got a piece for there. Let's rotate this around again so that we can get a good visualization of what we want to do here. I'll zoom in. And I can probably just keep clicking along here. I'm going to hold that one back because I can't see the beam. Can't see around the beam, should I say. And we'll use the join tool here. I'll try to use the join tool. Hold on here. I'm trying to select that window and this one, and we're all joined up. And let's just double check our glazing. So our glazing's facing the right direction here and here. but it isn't here. So I'm going to grab this. I'm going to off click that again and just try to grab the whole window, hit the space bar to flip it. And I'm just going to go over here and double check that this one is facing in the right direction. And now we're ready to draw over here. So once again, go down here and draw this one. Notice how I'm holding that back. I don't exactly know where this one's going, but I know I want it to be in the center of the wall. We're going to grab our join tool. Click that window and this window. I'm noticing that this glazing is facing in the wrong direction, so I want to select the whole thing by rolling over it till it highlights right. And now we have this one piece of side yet to complete that. So let's go ahead now and do that. Center, and I'm only going to come up this far. And we'll use the join tool. And I see an error that I've done here, and that's actually good. You see how it cut into that window? I didn't quite hit it right. So let's go ahead and pull that back. So I'm going to select that whole window again, and I'll pull this back until I get that little, oops, let me just, oh, it did it pretty nicely for me there. Click back and fix that problem. Okay, so we've got most of our new glazing on the second level in, or all of it. So let's finish off now with that spandrel on the top again. We're going to go to Architecture Wall, our most used spandrel. And remember, we were holding the top back a -2 feet. We're going to go from the top of the glass at L2 this time, that top right there. I'm going to cancel out. I don't want to change anything there. And I want to go up to the top of the parapet. And I can hit apply, but it already did it for us. And we're ready to start drawing again. And we'll just come here. I don't want to try to figure out where that center is. I'll come here. Let me actually just rotate this a little bit and zoom in. Find that center. I'll draw another piece over here. And now I'm just using the idea of getting these things all lined up the way we know they're supposed to be. Can tell I'm a little off on angle here because it's showing an angle. I want it to show 90 degrees. And it's a little hidden there. This one's being a little finicky with me. There we go. Oops, very sensitive. Let me zoom in a little closer. Okay, and now I'm going to use the join tool. And remember, we want also some spandrel coming out the other way here. We'll pull this out until it touches that front face. And I'm not getting an indication there. So hold on just a second. I don't want to mess it up too much, but I want to roll this around. And there it is. This one we want to pull now until it touches that front edge. Not getting a really good indication that that's right. So I want to be really careful when I'm not completely sure. I want to make sure that I have that nice gap, that nice even gap along there. Okay, so let's roll around here. Once again, we don't have an indication of where that top of L1 is, but we can still draw the wall there. I just have to figure out where it is right there. I just roll down along this edge until I get that indication that I'm at that right endpoint. And pull that over to there. Going to do the same thing here with this spandrel until we're touching that face. See, it says it cannot keep the elements joined. I'm going to cancel out of that. I'm going to try and redraw that because I'm doing something incorrect. There we go. Now we got to sneak back around on all of these edges. So I'm going to hold this down, get this lined up in an area that we can see it better. Actually, I'll roll this down so I can see way up on top of those. And we'll zoom in a little bit. and keep that lined up. If you're ready to go crazy, you can always just take a break and start the video up after you've had a second to catch up psychologically. So we're just joining those elements together. And it looks like we have one last piece of spandrel to put in place. And it looks like we've got it. No, I've just lost my mouse here for a second. Oops. I'm going to do zoom extents and just kind of re-examine here. You might want to then go back and double check that your windows are facing in the right direction. Oops, I've still got the drawing tool on. Let me just delete this. And what I see here, this one looks like it's probably in the wrong direction. Spacebar. This one's right. This one's correct. That one is. So it looks pretty good. What would really be problematic if those weren't facing in the right directions is sometimes when you render it, it'll make shadows on just one of the series of glass, and it'll just look different than all the rest. So I think we're all set with that section, and we'll look at putting some floors and some on the mezzanine and the roof level, I think, next.